right. So just to get into it, guys, I'm going to read a slight essay that I wrote about the movie industry decline. This is all based on a bunch of articles that I read and just kind of an overall synopsis of what's happening right now in the movie theater industry. The coronavirus pandemic has a lot of victims, and currently the movie theater business has also been hurt, just like many other service industries. According to the IndieWire, only 25,000 theaters were open this past weekend, which is a steep drop from over 32,000 that were open this past weekend. That amounts to a loss of 700 theaters in just 1 week, with the combined box office haul for all those movies ranging around $7 million. That makes a per screen average of just $500. That figure for multiplexes with 8 or more screens means that they cannot cover their operating costs. There are some promising signs for the rest of the holiday season, as The Croods: The New Age and Wonder Woman 1984 will see releases in theaters. The latter will also see release on HBO Max at the same time. And despite restrictions across the country, there are still movies being released in theaters, such as the swamp horror comedy Frankie that was released a week ago was the only movie to break $1 million over this last week, with a total box office haul of $1.2 million. It also becomes quite dire. The situation also becomes quite clearly dire as you realize that a $1.2 million haul makes it still to the top of the box office charts. In the second spot, there was The War with Grandpa, a movie that actually jumped from number 3 from the previous weekend to number 2 in the past weekend. The War with Grandpa, starring Robert De Niro, is also the number 3 highest grossing movie, this movie, which is the last, Let Him In, starring, The War with Grandpa, which was this last movie that was number 2, is also the only movie since Tenet to break $16 million, which also basically makes it, in the situation we're in, holidays tend to have the biggest box office haul, so we're seeing a decline of almost 1/10 the amount of money that a movie would have made in the time that War with Grandpa starring Robert De Niro has come out. Rounding out the last two movies that are on the charts, the thriller Let Him Go starring Kevin Costner and Diane Lane hit the third spot with only $710,000. And number 4 is a horror movie called Come Play, which has a $505,000 box office. One tactic that a lot of the movie theaters are trying right now is that they are allowing certain markets to allow for private screenings, such as AMC, Cinemark, and Alamo Drafthouse are all doing a pilot program where they are allowing moviegoers to rent an entire theater out for a movie. Currently in Texas, we don't get AMCs, but we definitely get Cinemarks and Alamo Drafthouse. And to round out this segment, 2 quotes from 2 articles that I read that are really interesting. From CNNBC, in recent days, all major cinemas chains released quarterly results that showed a mounting loss of nearly 100% of revenue that has been wiped out as auditoriums sat vacant for months on end. With the COVID-19 cases still rising in the U.S. states are likely to encourage citizens to not encouraged to allow customers to venture out. From The Verge, nearly half of the world's cinemas are now reopened. It's in some capacity, according to the data from a UK-based statistics company. And they say about 12,000 theaters are open, with more than 90% of those being in the U.S., which is interesting. Also, there have been some reports of certain companies like Amazon and or Walmart actually possibly buying some of these kind of lower end, like Cinemark, not AMC's of the world, but like Cinemark and Tinseltown's, like them buying up these theater chains, but that has not amounted to any actual purchase press releases. So there you go. It is.
That's a lot of heartbreaking losses, man. I mean, we should really feel bad about these movie theaters. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough one to get back in track.
It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, the movie theater industry is just not gonna look the same. It's just not. The movie industry itself is probably not gonna look the same at all. Um, I don't know what theaters would. I don't know if when we come back, if movie production houses, your fucking Warner Brothers, Sony, all these like big movie production companies. I don't know if they're going to fall back on a only release out in exhibitors, right? And only release out in theaters, right? I don't know if that's going to be a thing. I think personally, I think there might be a hybrid system, depending on how many theaters actually are around, right? Like if 50% of the theaters close in the country, that does amount to a loss of 50% of revenues from before. So like you can imagine a world where like we're just going to see these like soft releases out in theaters, but then decreased release window so they can go directly to VOD, or just release them in VOD at the same time, you know?
Well, it's things like Tenet. Like Tenet was,
Yeah.
who knows when it's going to be actually on DVD. I was looking back on the Dunkirk release dates, and Dunkirk almost came out on Blu-ray almost a year, a full, like, it was either 10 or 11 months. It was close to a year before it actually got released to any sort of disc, and for it to be viewed at home. Oh, I'm sorry, streaming. It was almost a year. I think it was 6 months until I got to DVD. So, like the movie theaters or the movie houses, like you were saying, they don't really want to release things straight to on-demand streaming in the past. There were certain movies that they wanted to milk it for as much money as they could. And I don't know, like this says a lot with Wonder Woman finally coming in and saying, cool, we're gonna go ahead and release streaming with the theatrical release. I don't know, that's only been done in this pandemic, but I don't know, has it ever been done before? It's really interesting because with this whole Wonder Woman aspect, now people are actually going to be able to choose. Before it was just like you were saying, hey, I'm not going to, we could take the whole family out to the movie theater, but it's going to be an expense, but it's worth that expense to see it in the movie theater.
Yes.
We're going to, hopefully those people will still go see it in the movie theater, but there's going to be a lot more who lean towards, well, I'd rather just watch it in the comfort of my own home. I think I have a better, with Black Friday TVs on sale and sound systems and stuff, I think I can have a better system at home, and we can pause the movie and go make popcorn. It is going to be all around a cheaper experience of me just, paying my HBO Max subscription that I probably already own at this point because I am stuck at home. That says a lot to the movie industry of honestly allowing this. If these theaters wanted to survive, I don't think they should even allow something like this to happen.
Well, that's not, well, that 100%, and it should be noted that there has been a fight. There has legitimately been a fight between movie studios and exhibitors, for sure.
Well, there's been the whole boycotting, like anything that was going to be streaming, they were boycotting the movies.
I
Pixar,
forget.
right?
Yeah, I forget which movie studio did this, but I'm sorry, Riggs Exhibitor said this, but I think when Pixar released their movie Soul, I think Tinseltown said that they will no longer exhibit Disney movies.
I think it was AMC, man.
AMC, was it AMC? I don't think it was one of the big ones, but I could be wrong. But there was that situation.
I got a little blurb, if you don't mind. Yeah. AMC, the U.S.'s largest cinema chain, has said it will refuse to show movies released by Hollywood studio Universal. The latter had just declared it would continue to release films simultaneously via cinemas and streaming after the coronavirus pandemic restrictions are lifted. And this is coming from this is coming out of The Guardian. This is just an article that I just pulled up out of The Guardian, and it's just because quote from the AMC CEO Adam Aron: Universal's unilateral actions and intentions have left us with no choice. Therefore, effective immediately, AMC will no longer play any Universal movies in any of our theaters in the United States, Europe, or the Middle East. And he's just responding to comments that Universal CEO said in the Wall Street Journal after the video on demand of Trolls release world tour. So we could be even speaking of two different instances, but I was just referring to this one.
For sure. No, but that's 100% a good example of what's happening. There really is a fight happening. And in this environment, that's just the thing that happens in business. And especially, it is literally, it's a pandemic. It's one of those things that causes things to boil over into these situations. Yeah. I don't know what the industry is going to look like after it, but it's definitely not going to be the same. Go ahead.
No. I was going to share with you that the article that I was talking to you about earlier is the co-founder of Alamo Drafthouse in Austin. He's going to auction over 1,000 limited prints of Mondo posters. Do you know Mondo?
Yeah. Those will sell.
Yeah, those are actually, and for anybody who doesn't know, Mondo, the American company, is known for releasing limited edition screen printed posters for films, television shows, and comics, as well as vinyl movie soundtracks, clothing, and apparel. So these are kind of rare. They only make a very limited edition of this sort of movie posters.
Yeah.
If you just Google best Mondo posters, you're going to find I don't know if it's Mondo or Mondo. I'm sorry, I'm saying Mondo so much, but my brother's name is Mondo, and it's spelled with an A, so like the O throws me off. But it is Mondo Grass. Like Mondo Grass is spelled like that too. So anyway, side note, this company is based in Austin, and their parent company is Alamo Drafthouse. So it's obvious why they're doing this, but he is trying to auction this money off so that anything to keep this theater alive. Alamo Drafthouse, as a lot of people, some people may not know from rural parts or just, anywhere in the Northwest, pretty much. It's just one of those theaters that just opened up as a smaller theater with some couches. And then they started doing the whole studio movie grill thing. And they've done it way better than the other dine-in movie theaters. So I think they've done it so well that they've expanded into places that nobody thought they'd ever get out of Texas. So
for sure, yeah, I think they've been killing it. They had recently just opened in LA, about 2 years ago.
Yeah, 1 year ago in Manhattan. 1 year ago in Manhattan, and then I think 2 or 3 years ago in Brooklyn, which was the first ever on the East Coast or Northeast area.
No, for sure, and I definitely heard people talking in the movie news space, like a bunch of YouTube people that I follow. We're all talking about who live in that area. We're all talking about how excited they were about going to the Alamo Drafthouse.
Yeah,
this legendary Texas, Austin, gem going out there. Which Alamo Drafthouse, such a sweet experience. It's the only place I go to the movies when movies are going on, just because it's like, honestly, it's not that unreasonably priced. You go on the right days, the right times, and you can have a fucking beer.
Well, before this pandemic, man, I used to have the AMC Movie Pass, right? Which got you that. And right before this pandemic ended, I was so excited because Alamo Drafthouse finally got it, and I could finally go to an Alamo Drafthouse. And the nearest one for me is 8 to 10 miles away. It's kind of out of the way. It takes me far too long to get there for something that's 8 miles away. And I go there. I go out of my way just to go there because I love the atmosphere. I love how clean it is. If I get food, I love the food there, and it's just it's a great experience. It's the way I say it's the only way for a movie going experience, that and the better AMC's around.
For sure, I applaud Alamo Drafthouse for doing something, and showing like this is a good indicator of where the industry is right now, right?
Yeah.
I think like I think here in the DFW area where we're located, I think most large-scale movie chains are going to be fine just because we live in Texas and Texas is shut down. But there's so many people and most businesses are still allowed to run and function at pretty much any capacity. I mean, the bars are open here completely. So I think they're going to be fine here, but there's definitely a lot of places out in America that a lot of these smaller movie theaters are not going to be around, and obviously the movie industry as a whole is not going to be the same. I think the biggest thing here is like to understand that you know how a movie gets released, right? A movie exhibitor gets basically, depending on the movie, right? If it's a really big movie, like say Avengers, any of the Avengers movies, they do basically a 70 what is this what is a 70-30 split or something, right? They do a 70-30 split, right? But if it's just like a regular movie, it's 50%, right? So when you see box office, it's literally only basically half, unless it's like a really big tentpole movie that exhibitors and movie production houses can make a different deal. Anytime it's like, it's not even all tentpole movies, man. Like, if it's Avengers, it's gonna get a different deal. But if it's like say like Battleship or like John Carter of Mars, you know, these kind of like tentpole movies, but not like big, you know, not proven franchises. They're basically a 50-50 split. So if you think about it that way, then that means that the first movie that made it to number one box office only made it's $1 million this last weekend. Only 500,000 of that goes to the movie theater, goes to the movie production houses, right? Whatever studio made that movie. So I think the model is going to be broken. I think the industry is just going to have to change and evolve. And I hope that these jobs get saved in some way from the Biden administration. I don't know, it's crazy how this country still, everything's still up in the air. We don't really know how things are going to pan out. There's going to be another stimulus bill, probably. But fucking Congress is on vacation, and that's definitely something we need to talk about too. Like, our government has not helped the service industries, and they're just not, at this moment in time, they're just not going to.
Yeah, especially the arts. Yeah, especially the arts. But anyway, like,
yeah.